Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, I am going to show you how to create VM in Oracle Cloud. I am going to access the Oracle Cloud console. I will show you the step-by-step process to create a VM in Oracle Cloud. So let's jump on to the console and see the process to create a VM in Oracle Cloud. So to access the Oracle Cloud console, we have to log into the console cloud.oracle.com, and in the view accounts, sign into the cloud. So I have my tenancy name named as ASKM Labs. So this is my tenancy name, or I can also call it as account name, and then continue to log in as an SSO. So I'm going to use my login details. Now it will take me to the Oracle Cloud console home page. Now this is the page where I can do different activities on Oracle Cloud instance. Now in this video we are going to see how to create a Oracle VM. So on the left hand side here you will see the complete list of services provided by Oracle. So I am going to choose the compute instances. But before that, whenever you are creating any compute instance, make sure that you are in the right region. So on the top right hand side, if you expand this particular region, you will see the list of regions that you are subscribed to. So if your requirement is to create a specific region, you need to choose that corresponding region and then proceed with the instance creation. Now my region is US East. I am going to create my instance in US East region. Now for any instance creation, there are some compulsory and mandatory configuration steps. You need to choose the memory, you need to choose the storage, and also the network configuration. The other configuration details are optional, but the memory, storage and networking configurations are mandatory for any VM to create. So while I am creating this instance, I will pay more attention on these configuration details. So on the left hand side in the compute menu, there are different other options available for you, but don't worry about all those options. Our intention in this video is to create an instance in Oracle Cloud. Now click on Oracle instance and it will take you to the page where you can define different configuration details for your instance. Now on this page I can have a name for my instance, and I can name it as my first VM. This is the name of my VM that I am going to create, and I am going to place this VM in a compartment. A compartment is a logical entity in Oracle Cloud, and you can group all your resources in the cloud into a different compartments, and there is a reason to group these into compartments. So we'll talk about that in a different video. So once I choose the compartment, the next option is choose the operating system. So here the default one that is selected here is Oracle Linux, but if you want to choose any other operating system, you can just click here and it will take you to the place where you can choose different options. So all the items listed here, there are different operating systems available. Also there are some Oracle provided images, so you can select a machine which is already available with some softwares installed, so they are called Oracle images. Apart from Oracle, there are some third party people who will also provide their images with the softwares installed, so they are also available either as a partner images, or we also call it as a marketplace. So if you go to the marketplace, there are different other providers who will provide different images. So based on your requirement, you can select what kind of instance that you are looking for. And if you want to create your own images, you can also create and keep it here, but let's not go further into here. So as I mentioned here, you have different options to select from the operating systems available. So I'm going with the default operating system, Oracle Linux 7.8. Now if you come a little below, there you have an option which shows shape, network and storage. If you remember what I said earlier, the storage, memory, CPU and network, these are the mandatory configurations that we are going to define for an instance. So I'm going to click here. If you do not click, there might be some default options that it automatically selects and create your instance, but our intention is to see what are the different options available for creating an instance. I'm going to select this option and I will show you the different options available under this menu option. The first one is availability domain. So availability domain is a region or a place where a data center is available for Oracle to provide all the resources. So on the east region selected above, I have 3 availability domains. So if you want to know more about regions and availability domains, I have a different video which talks about region and availability domains. A link will be provided in description below. So I'm choosing a AD3, availability domain 3, because that is an always free eligible. If you are here to practice the Oracle cloud concepts, I suggest to choose your free tier eligible. But if you are choosing any other availability domain which is not a free eligible, you will be charged. So please be careful while you are selecting your region and also the type of availability domain that you are going to select. And then there is a shape that you can select. What is a shape? Let's select this button. There are different options available here underneath the shape. So based on the shape of the Oracle has categorized its infrastructure into different categories, and based on your memory and CPU requirements, you can choose the shape of the machine that you need. Because in this demo we are just choosing the free tier, I am going with the bare minimum requirement, which is a free tier eligible. So I am choosing E2.1 micro instance. That will be my shape for. But if your enterprise requirement is different and you have to choose your shape of the instance based on your requirement for the instance creation. And the next options are about networking. So networking is a very important thing, because the instance that you are going to create stays with the cloud. So you need to be able to connect and do different operations with your instance. So you have to properly configure your instance network configurations, and you need to restrict who should be able to access and who should be restricted access to this VM. So I'm trying to avoid the complexity of network configuration here. I will make it as simple as possible. So when you are configuring the network, there will be some default network VCN that comes with Oracle. If you are just not aware of how to deal with it, just go with the default one. But if you know some details about networking, and if you have already created a separate network for your practice or for your enterprise, I would suggest to choose that VCN. And we have a separate video to talk about this VCN as well. You can check my other videos if you need more details on VCN. So I'm choosing here the compartment that I have created for VCN. Okay, now underneath the VCN there are some network. So I created a network called MGMT VCN. I will just choose the default one. And then I'm going to place the network component, because my instance, if you remember, I kept my instance in the compartment which is managed compartment for PAAS. So I'm going to place my network component also in the same compartment. As I told you earlier, the compartment is a logical component to group the resources into certain groups to provide and restrict access to those resources. And within the network, the VCN, I have different subnets available, because now I'm creating the instance in availability domain 3. I'm going to select my subnet from the same AD3. So you should be very careful. So if you are creating an instance in a particular availability domain, so you make sure that you select one of the subnet from that availability domain. Okay, now here I am selecting the availability domain, the subnet from AD3. And the next option that we have is the public IP or the private IP. So please make a note, if you are assigning a private IP to your instance, because the IP is private, it is only accessible within the cloud. If you want to access that machine outside the cloud from the internet, you will not be able to access, because the IP is not accessible in the internet. So within these two options, if your requirement is to access this VM outside the cloud and from the internet, you need to have a public IP for this instance. So choose the public IP instance, and if you come down, there are some options for boot volume. Don't worry about these boot volumes for now. And the other important aspect of the creation of the instance in a cloud is the access keys. So any VM created in cloud is controlled by some security aspect. So you need to have a security key to access your VM which is created in cloud. So either you have either you can create the keys to access, or you can choose the existing keys if you have already created. So this is the first instance that I am creating. So I would show you how to create the SSH key pair. But if you know how to create a SSH key pair, you can create those pair in a separate utility, and you can also upload those here. So for simplicity, I am just choosing the option generate SSH key for me here, and keep a note that these SSH keys are very important for me to access my VM. So if you lost these keys, you will not be able to access this VM unless you change the keys again. So as these keys are required for me, I have to download. But note that there are two options here to download, which one to select for the keys. The statement here clearly says that you have to download the private key. The private key is required for you to connect to your instance. Okay, now I'm going to download the private key. Click this and it will ask you whether to download it. So download it. I'm going to use this private key later while I'm trying to connect to this EC2 instance. And because this is a Linux machine, I need these keys. But if it is a Windows machine, the way that we connect to the Windows machine is different. So you need to understand what kind of or what type of operating system you're trying to access and how you're trying to access. Is it a username password or is it a key based? And after selecting the keys, you have some options which are the advanced options, and I am not going to each tab of these advanced options, but let me take you to the networking part where there are two specific optional configurations that we can do. So here in this networking tab, you can provide a private IP if you have some kind of network range assigned for you, or you can define the host name for your instance. So I'm not defining anything. I will let Oracle choose what host name it assigns to my instance, but there is an option here for you that you can assign the host name as per your corporate requirements. So once you select and do all these configuration, now you are ready to create an instance. Now click here at the create instance. Now once you click create, it will take you to the place where the instance is about to provision. Okay, so now here the status changes as it becomes available for you, and here you will see different options available for you as a home. So once you click create, it will land you onto the home page of displaying all the configurations that you have selected for your instance creation. So the important thing that you need to note is the public IP assigned to you. So once this instance is available for you to access, you can note this public IP which is available here, and using this public IP and the keys that we downloaded earlier, we should be able to access this VM. And the other details are just like what are the details that you have configured during the instance creation, and so if you click on create instance, so it is still in the process of creating the instance. So once the instance is available for you to access, you have various options to do with this instance. Okay, so you can either terminate this instance, or there will be stop and reboot options are also available for this instance. Those are not highlighted now because in the present state of provisioning, these options are not available. Okay, now the instance is available and it is running. Okay, now you can either stop the instance, reboot the instance, and you can perform any of the options that are specified here. Okay, so that is how you will be creating an instance in Oracle Cloud. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, and please subscribe my channel to get more updates about the videos that I upload. Thank you for watching this video.